Breaking tonight, almost 18 months of campaigning. And with 4 days to go until America decides, the presidential race is in a dead heat. And this hour, we are going to show you what could tip the balance, one way or the other. Welcome to the Kelly File, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. Brand new Fox polling is out tonight. And in the two-way race, Hillary Clinton is only leading Donald Trump now by 1 point. After all the swings we have seen, 1 point, 46 to 45%. And just look at how things have tightened up over the past 3 weeks. Back then, Hillary Clinton had a 7-point advantage, and now 1. It comes as there is a renewed focus on control of the U.S. Senate as well, where the latest forecast shows that we could be in for a real nail-biter on Tuesday night. And we have a big show lined up for you tonight with everything you need to know, including a breakdown of those new Fox polls, plus a look at when we will know the winner on Tuesday night. How is it going to unfold, along with what to expect from the media in the next 72 hours. Keep your expectations low. Plus, all three stars, all three of them tonight, from Showtime's The Circus, which you have come to know and love, are here on the drama of the final days. But we're going to give Mark McKinnon the most time because we don't really know those other two guys. And then, no, just kidding. And then Rudy Giuliani joins us on Donald Trump's endgame. But we begin tonight on the campaign trail with our chief political correspondent, campaign Carl Cameron, reporting tonight from the city of Hershey in the critical battleground state of Pennsylvania. Carl?
Thanks, Megyn. Donald Trump hit 3 key battleground states today, and it began in New Hampshire, in Atkinson, at a country club, where he was talking about today's jobs report from the Labor Department that says that unemployment is down to 4.9%. He criticized that, noting that while there were about 160 new jobs created in October, there were more than 425 jobs where people left the workforce. He says that's a terrible example. But he was saying this, 4.9% unemployment on the last jobs report before the election is the lowest it's ever been in the last 40 years. Reporters wait for this last final jobs report before the election for all kinds of potential political fallout. And Trump was making his criticism in a state that has 2.9% unemployment. New Hampshire has the lowest unemployment in the country. From there, he went to Wilmington, Ohio, battleground Ohio, where he's had a slight edge in some of the polls, but basically in all of the battleground states and nationwide, the race has been within the margin of error in the average of polls for the better part of the last few months. And then there was tonight here in Hershey, Pennsylvania, sweetest city in America, they call themselves, and here's what he said here.
Premiums are surging on Obamacare. Companies are leaving. Insurers are fleeing. Doctors are quitting. And deductibles are through the roof. And yet Hillary Clinton wants to double down on Obamacare, making it even more expensive.
Tomorrow, Trump has 5 rallies crisscrossing the country yet again. By the time we get done on Tuesday, Trump will cast a vote in New York. Then he'll go back out on the campaign trail for some more campaign events, trying to make sure he leaves nothing on the table and plays for every last vote in what is an amazingly close race. Usually in the last weekend, dirty tricks and last-minute mini bombshells don't make a difference. But this one is so close, anything could change the outcome. Megyn?
Wow. Carl, thank you. Hillary Clinton campaigning across 3 battleground states today. Her final appearance this evening in Ohio. Steigerwald is here. I heard Michigan, African-American vote. I heard Jay-Z.
Many words.
I don't know. Words. Some big might be happening with the Clinton campaign. Yeah. No clue.
No clue.
Steigerwald is here. He's co-host of Perino and Steigerwald, I'll tell you what. Along with Kristen Soltis Anderson, who's a Washington Examiner columnist and a Republican pollster. So hopefully nothing big is happening, because we have no clue what's happening on the Clinton campaign tonight. Let me start with you on the numbers.
Okay.
There's a reason she's mentioning Ohio and Michigan. And the bottom line, according to, Nate Silva's 538, which I have sworn off, but, I take a peek.
You dabble.
It says national polls are suggesting that Hillary's already bottomed out and she's begun to recover, but the state polls are showing a different story.
Well, okay, so there's always dissonance between state and national polling, and the question is, which one's the leading indicator and which one's the lagging indicator? In states that matter, Hillary Clinton seems to be okay. She seems to have weathered the storm. And as our national poll shows, there wasn't really that much consequence to the big FBI bombshell that everybody...
How can you say that? That's our poll, but she was 7 points ahead, and now she's 1 point ahead.
But the crunch happened before, so it was a week ago tonight that went down. It had already happened before that. The crunch down had already come. She had been 8 points up in an average of polls. She was already down to 5 and moving the wrong direction by last Friday. As it turns out, this was about partisans coming home, and now we see about the same share in our poll of Republicans and Democrats supporting their respective
So they did come home? The Republicans came home when all was said and done?
By and large, they came home.
Kristen, is that true? And is that true with respect to the women? Because there's a reason that we saw Melania Trump out there. We're seeing more Ivanka. The Trump campaign is trying to reach out to the women.
Right. And so while a lot of these things, the numbers on the surface look like, hey, Republicans are coming home, Democrats are coming home, there are still breaks underneath the surface within different groups. So when it's college-educated women who may be Republican, you're seeing less support for Trump than you are among, non-college-educated white men who are Republicans. Trump's running up the numbers among some groups far and above what Mitt Romney did previously, which is why a state like Iowa or a state like Ohio, the early vote's looking better for him there. These are states that it wouldn't surprise me at all to see them flip from blue to red. But then there are these other states that are a little bit more challenging because of the underlying demographics of the state's makeup.
It's like you picture the college-educated women in the car heading toward home, and then you see that car of the relative who always talks your ear off, and they're like, nah, never mind. All right,
back to Starbucks.
Let's talk state by state, Starwell, because New Hampshire is what everybody seems to be looking at.
Oh, yeah.
That's very much in play.
Bing.
So does that do it for him? I mean, it's so small.
Okay, so, and we'll talk about this more later when we talk about how the whole map breaks down, but basically the way to think about it is there's 4 states in the East that Pennsylvania, Ohio, North Carolina, and Florida. Donald Trump's got to win 3 of those 4. Doesn't matter which 3, but he's got to win 3 of those 4.
So Pennsylvania is within 3, but I mean, it's not going to happen according to most analysts. David Plouffe says it's a pipe dream.
Right, and Republicans love that pipe dream. They smoke that pipe dream
every time.
And they're like, oh, it's going to happen.
This is the time.
Never mind.
All right, so do you like him for Ohio, Florida, and New Hampshire?
I like his chances a lot in Ohio. I think he's got Ohio. Florida is as true of a toss-up as I've ever. This is more than 2000. This is as true a toss-up as anybody can imagine in Florida. Oh, yeah. Now, it may break one way or the other, but when we look at the early voting, we look at the breakdown of what's going on in Florida, it is as tight as it could possibly be. North Carolina has been a very weak spot for Trump, just for the reason that Kristen was talking about, which is they're too affluent. They have too many college-educated white people. North Carolina has been too economically successful, especially in what is the breadbasket of Republican votes up in Wake County. They haven't been bad enough off that they're buying the message.
So, Kristen, the thing is now with the race this tight, I mean, she's got the ground game, but he's got the momentum. Tonight he was mocking her, saying, look at me, he's got all these people. He's like, and I didn't have to bring out Jay-Z. And he's exactly right. She's never had that many people at her rallies. They don't come to see her that way. It's great if you can find a big rock star to come play your arena, but she needs them to vote.
Well, you know what? In 2004, Dave Matthews Band played a concert at the University of Florida. I went as a student, and I went out the very next day, and instead of voting for John Kerry like they told me to, I voted for George W. Bush. So sometimes people go to the concert just for the entertainment.
Stole that.
But I saw a count today that, Barack Obama, I believe, had over 6,000 staff working out in swing states back 4 years ago, and that Hillary Clinton, the number's slightly lower. Meanwhile, Donald Trump, his campaign's not as strong in terms of field staff, but the RNC has really done a good job supplementing. So the advantage on ground game, I've said all along, I didn't think Trump's ground game was great, but I don't know that the gap is significantly bigger than it was 4 years ago.
Okay. Great to see you both.
Bye.
Starwalt makes a return appearance later. It's a surprise. We all know the election is 4 days away, but what time on Tuesday will we know the results? How's it going to come down? That's why he's coming back to tell us that. Plus, Mayor Rudy Giuliani and longtime Clinton loyalist Lanny Davis on the state of the race. Again, 4 days from this election. And still ahead, after documenting the election all year long, the co-creators of Showtime's The Circus are here, all 3 of them, to tell us what they think is going to happen on Tuesday night. Don't go away. Breaking tonight, new fallout from a rocky week for Hillary Clinton. From reports of an ongoing FBI probe into the Clinton family charity to revelations that investigators are going through newly discovered emails from her private server. Our next guest is a longtime loyal Clinton supporter who, as early as March 2015, urged her campaign to release much of the information that is still trickling out. Here's Lanny Davis on Fox News Sunday saying Hillary Clinton should open her private server to independent review.
There can be a neutral party to review all these records. Nothing unlawful.
You'd like to have a neutral party?
I said there can be. The State Department.
Obviously, there can be. I understand that. I'm asking you, do you think that's a reasonable idea?
I think it is a reasonable idea. If anybody has any doubts that there's a delete on a hard drive, I think
to have an independent force go inspect her private email.
I think that is a reasonable idea. If the State Department asks, she will say yes. If there's a subpoena, she must say yes.
Well, that interview set off alarm bells inside Clinton world. Leaked campaign emails show one top advisor writing, quote, "We got to zap Lanny out of our universe." Poor Lanny. We're talking with both campaigns tonight, and in a moment we'll be joined by Donald Trump surrogate, Mayor Rudy Giuliani. But we begin with Lanny Davis, former special counsel to former President Bill Clinton. Lanny, well, that wasn't nice. They wanted to zap you to outer space just for wanting a full vetting of the email issue. What's your take on it?
First of all, this is a great friend of mine, and we've talked since the publication of the word zap. I said if, in the part of that sentence, which I was able to correct next time I was on Chris Wallace, I said only if the State Department asked for the official business emails. Of course, she had already turned them over, and a neutral party could verify, or if there was a subpoena. But the headline that went out skipped the ifs.
But what about the fact that, as you look back,
I would zap myself if I hadn't said if.
But it made clear, like, when I looked at your emails, this is thanks to the WikiLeaks revelations, Russia, bad, we got it. There's one on August 27th, 2015. We're going to get to some other stuff in a second. But you said something about, I still believe the issue of the wiping out of the private server still needs to be dealt with. You literally wrote the book on crisis management. If they had just listened to you, Lanny, months and months ago, and just put it all out there, do you think she would be in the position she's in today?
I think she would be in the position she's in today, probably with less pain, because she's ahead and she's going to win. I'd rather be Hillary Clinton tonight than Donald Trump. But the point I was making, which she has made, she made a mistake. She's apologized. And Donald Trump did not apologize to a Gold Star mother, and he didn't apologize to the women that he bragged about sexually assaulting. So Hillary Clinton did say, I made a mistake and I'm sorry. And my philosophy would have been, get those emails out into the public domain as early as possible, because
there's
nothing there, as we now know there is nothing there.
You were brilliant, you were prescient, because not only were you pushing for her to be fully, to give full disclosure, but August 27th, 2015, this is right after the first Republican presidential debate, you wrote to Podesta, her champagne cameraman, I propose that the secretary be on the Megyn Kelly file, close enough, show for at least 30 minutes. I know what I'm about to propose is very risky and will be instinctively viewed negatively, which you were probably right about that. I propose that the secretary be on this show for at least 30 minutes. In fact, I believe it's in the interest of Secretary Clinton as well as Fox for the questions to be tough, something we should not fear as long as she has an opportunity to answer. It has the potential to be a ratings and media bonanza, and like a bunch of dopes, they rejected your advice.
Well, first of all, you are tough, but you always let me answer your questions. And that's why I thought it was a great idea. I have never seen Hillary Clinton unfiltered, talking, answering questions, tough questions for Megyn Kelly or Chris Wallace during the debate, where she didn't do well. And that's why she beat Donald Trump in 3 debates. Hillary Clinton unfiltered is funny, likable, articulate, focused on issues. She would have done great on your show, and you would have asked her tough questions about the emails, the server, and everything else, and she would have done great and hit home runs, in my opinion, every question you asked.
You know what? I've always said, listen, she could handle me. But
sure.
The bottom line is, honestly, she was too chicken to come on. That's the truth. I asked her for months and months and months through everybody possible. Why else would she be here?
You cannot call Hillary Clinton, who's been pounded and dealt on the mat and gets back up and fights again. But I think at that point there was a more conservative approach, and she since has said, I made a mistake on these emails, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I really do.
She made a mistake not sitting down with me, too. I mean, she may win on Tuesday, but it was still a mistake because she's trying to paint herself as some champion of women. And what does she do? She doesn't even sit down with one of the top female journalists in the country, at least, and certainly here on the Fox News channel. One of the only two women in all of primetime and cable news, pretended that we didn't exist, told us over and over again, wait until the general, wait until the general, wait until this, wait until that. Never came. That's the truth.
I have to ask you a question.
Even Trump, who was very unhappy about that debate, wound up sitting down with me and giving me a long interview. Hillary, never. I'll give you the last word.
I have to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Would you be proud of that email where I recommended that she be on your show if I said, listen, Megyn is a soft touch. You ought to do it.
No,
I
wouldn't.
You wouldn't.
Called you up and yelled at you.
The reason I wanted her to do it is because you would have asked her tough questions, but then you would have given her a chance to answer.
Let's leave it on the happy note about me. And Lanny, good to see you. Sorry, Hillary, but I have to guilt her a little. I mean, come on. What the heck? Here to respond, Mayor Rudy Giuliani. He's a surrogate for the Trump campaign and has different feelings about Hillary than Lanny does.
Yeah, I do. I have very different feelings.
Let me start, though, with this controversy in which you find yourself, where Elijah Cummings is now suggesting that you need to be investigated, calling on the Justice Department to conduct an immediate investigation to determine the source of multiple unauthorized and often inaccurate leaks from within the FBI to benefit the presidential campaign of Donald Trump. They appear to be talking about you, suggesting that you had leaked information on the FBI review of Clinton emails.
This is the vast right-wing conspiracy garbage all over again. You can investigate me. I spoke to no current FBI agents ever in the last 10 months. I've had no communications with them. I haven't destroyed any of my emails. I haven't hammered my cell phone. All my communications were with former FBI agents. The information I got from former FBI agents who were friends of mine, who put the mafia in jail, the Colombian drug dealers in jail, Milken, Boski, friends of mine, right? Was the FBI, from the time of the Comey investigation until the day Jim came forward with what he said, were in revolt about an investigation they believe was being sabotaged. I actually didn't know the dimensions to which the Justice Department sabotaged this investigation until it actually came out.
So when you said to Martha McCallum that, you know, I think Trump's got a surprise or two you're going to hear about in the next couple
You know what
days.
I was talking about?
What?
I was talking about his advertising this weekend, because we were having a big debate about whether he should give a big speech or do a bunch of advertising. That's what I was talking about, that he was going to go on television and talk directly to the American people. No reference at all.
That would have been kind of lame. You should be glad that something bigger came out to make a make a liar out of you.
I had no idea that Jim Comey was going to do what he did. Not the slightest idea.
Okay.
What I did know, be absolutely truthful with you, what I did know is from 3 or 4 former FBI agents that the people within the FBI, they were telling me this, were outraged at Jim Comey's decision in July. They believed it was a prosecutable case.
That has clearly reached a boiling point, because we've seen that come out.
When Jim said no reasonable prosecutor would bring this case, I said to myself, I was a pretty reasonable prosecutor. I could win this case. This case is easier than maybe 90% of the cases that I won.
I don't have a lot of time with you. I want to get to the
woman destroyed 33,000 emails. She made 12 false exculpatory statements. She lied. The reason she didn't come on your program is because she would lie to you. She would tell you, I only had 1 cell phone.
Well, they all mislead journalists.
She had 13 cell phones.
They all mislead journalists. That's our job to try to cut through that.
But then it would turn out that she had somebody smashing the cell phones with a hammer.
Okay, but listen,
that's criminal conduct.
Well, it may or may not have been. I mean, Comey says no, the intent wasn't there.
How about the $1.5 million speaking fee from UBS to Bill Clinton?
No, you mentioned that the last time.
After Hillary went to Geneva to get UBS off the hook for 50,000 identifications.
I got to go. I got to answer. It's the last time I may have you before Tuesday night.
As lawyers, you know what we call that? We call that bribery.
What do you predict? What electoral college
I believe he wins by 2 states.
By 2 states?
Yeah. There are going to be 2 states that are going to surprise you.
Do you know the 2?
I'm not sure yet. Could be Pennsylvania. Could be Michigan. Maybe Wisconsin.
Wow.
And the red states all have come back.
Utah.
They're all back.
Georgia,
Utah's
Arizona.
back big time. don't worry about North Carolina. It's going to be fine.
Wow.
All he needs is one, maybe New Hampshire, and that one vote in Maine.
Mm-hmm.
She is now on the ropes. She's on the defense. He's got the momentum. And everybody in this country knows, finally, after 4 decades of Clinton corruption, the American people have figured out she's a crook.
Great to see you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
There you have it. 2 very divergent viewpoints. So there's a scathing new column out from one of the top media critics in the country, and we'll show you who is taking the heat in these last 72-plus hours of the race. Plus, we'll get to the drama of the final days when all 3 stars of Showtime's The Circus join us. Look at them. Look at this. Small, medium, large. For the first time ever. Next.
4/7, Channel 115.
From Scooby vans and escalator rides to the FBI bombshell still echoing across this race, the 2016 White House race has been nothing short of wild. And no one has quite captured the crazy like the Showtime documentary, The Circus. Here's a quick walk down memory lane. Creators and hosts of The Circus, Mark McKinnon, Mark Halperin, and John Heilman. Great to see you all. It's fun to look back at it like that and sort of see it unfold. Let's just start there for a second. But what do you think what stands out to you looking back on the craziest of elections ever as the key moment or two?
Well, we were worried about having 26 episodes, which is a lot, that there'd be weeks where nothing was happening. That never happened. The whole campaign, right. Every week, the only problem we had was cutting material because we had so much. Mm-hmm. Not just every week, but every day and every hour. You know, for you covering it, I'm sure it was the same thing. It's like, oh my God, you know, you go to bed at night and there'd be a story at 11 o'clock. You wake up the next morning, another story. Just when you thought they couldn't be outdone, then this week kind of tops them all with Comey coming.
And so much of it involved this. Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, well, right?
No,
I mean,
like, parental controls.
Twitter, right? I can't because I cover the presidential race, right? Twitter has played such a big role. But what do you think, John? Like, what do you think was the biggest shock when you personally felt in covering the race?
I think the very first episode that we did back in January, we called it The Outsiders, and it was focused a lot on Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders. And I think when this is all over, I'm going to look back on the fact that these 2 guys who were not members of their own party a couple of years earlier came in and were the biggest insurgent populist forces. You know, even though Hillary Clinton won the Democratic nomination, Bernie Sanders was in some ways a bigger story. And so seeing him come very close to winning in Iowa and then beating her in New Hampshire, seeing Trump win that victory in New Hampshire and then in South Carolina, those were, in the early phases at least in the race, that kind of validated the notion that we'd all been feeling for a year, which was that these people who were against the system, against the establishment, against many of the things their parties held dear, were going to be the dominant kind of forces, even if they didn't win. One of them did, one of them didn't.
These curiosities where it's sort of like, I don't understand. This isn't the way it's done. But people gravitated toward it. Mark, your thoughts now on the state of the race, because you've been somebody who's been very fair to Trump. You've been criticized for being too fair to Trump by some. How do you see it? Does he have a real chance? I mean, did his momentum come soon enough before November 8th?
Well, it may not. She's got all the structural advantages any Democrat would have in this race. She has the Electoral College, and then undergirding that, the demographics. The Democrats have won the popular vote 5 of the last 6 elections.
But she's a weak candidate.
She's a weak candidate. But what they have focused on relentlessly is keeping Trump's ceiling from getting high enough that he has a chance to win. If she wins, I think they will keep Trump down in the battleground states and nationally. 42%, 43%, 44%, just not enough to win. He has moved up. He is now in a position. You can look at a map and give him a couple combinations, but she has so many more combinations. If she wins North Carolina, where they're devoting so many resources, and where even the Republicans said just a week ago it was a very tough state for them, she wins.
So is that the state you're watching on Tuesday night? Watch North Carolina,
North Carolina and New Hampshire are 2 states where, can Donald Trump win without those 2? Mathematically, yes, but very hard for me at this point to see a path that doesn't involve certainly North Carolina.
The bottom line, our title for this next episode is Nobody Effing Knows.
I love that. Love that. As a person who loves a good swear,
well,
I appreciate
it reminds me of all the campaigns that I've been in, and the bottom line is there's a torrent of information, polls, the professor from, since 1940s called every election.
Yes.
And the campaigns just find whatever information out there reinforces what they want to believe, to give them the confidence that they can win.
But you're supposed to know. You were in this business for a long, long time. I mean, seriously, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, I go to Mark's point. There's a structural advantage, but the most important thing in the final days of a campaign is momentum, and Trump's got a lot right now.
Yep.
So you want the wind at your back. You want to be on offense, not on defense. That's where the Clinton campaign has been this week. But all the early investment in August, like when she was around raising money and Trump was criticizing her for being off the radar screen raising money, that investment now in targeting and turnout could make a difference in a very close race.
And the ground game, John, which is just, we sort of haven't been paying that much attention to it, but she's been putting those building blocks in place for a long time.
There's not been a day of this race when she's been behind. Not one when she's been running against Donald Trump. Not a day. And there have been moments when it's tightened. It certainly did. The momentum shifted after the Comey letter. But there's been an election that's been going on for now a month in a lot of battleground states. Early vote being banked, where her infrastructural advantages, her financial advantages, that ground game you're talking about, that's not just on Election Day. Election Day, again, it happens over weeks.
That's what she said. Get to the polls now, immediately, before Comey does anything else.
But you look at a lot of these states, Florida, North Carolina, which just started, but Nevada, other states where early voting has been going on for a long time. She may have banked so many votes and have so much of an advantage that even though he may win Election Day, but that might not be enough to make him actually the winner of the election.
I was over at Trump Tower today shooting some stuff for this week's circus, and I saw the deputy campaign manager, Dave Bossy, Kellyanne Conway, a little bit with Donald Trump. They're loose. They're either bluffing or they are telling the truth when they say our internal data is better than the public data. The Clinton folks, on the other hand, are methodical. They say, very similar to what President Obama's campaign said 4 years ago, we see the numbers, we have massive data, so much more data than the media polls, we're going to win. They just say emphatically,
this is exactly what happens every 4 years, and you find out after the fact that they lie. They lie to you.
They do, but usually you can tell who's lying.
Stuff.
Could
you tell today?
They both seem pretty confident.
Oh, all right, if you haven't seen the circus, you got to check it out. It's awesome. You can download them at your leisure on Showtime On Demand, and I highly recommend it. Great to see you all.
Thanks, Megyn.
Thanks, guys.
You know what the campaigns are going to do in the end?
Kick it.
They're going to kick it.
Kick it hard. I'm getting better. So from leaked debate questions to journalists deciding to ditch all objectivity and calling on everyone to do the same, the media has had a rocky trip on the road to the White House. Media critics Howie Kurtz and Noah Rothman are next on how this all shakes out in the last few days. Don't go away.
It's the Kelly File with Megyn Kelly.
Developing tonight as we approach the final days of this race, a scathing new column in the Baltimore Sun suggests that no matter who wins on Tuesday, the media will be the big loser. Critic David Zurowick writing, quote, "It's a deadly combination that has dark consequences for democracy as the press fails in its primary job of giving citizens accurate, trustworthy information they can use in choosing who they want to lead the nation." Joining me now, Media Buzz host Howie Kurtz and Noah Rothman, assistant online editor of Commentary Magazine. Great to see you both. So, Noah, does he get it right?
He absolutely does. If you go back to prior to Donald Trump winning the nomination, even before any of the primary votes were cast, you had the press out there very much injecting a narrative into the ether. The Associated Press talking about how Hillary Clinton was preaching love and kindness when Donald Trump was talking about hate, and how the Republican field was, quote, stammering, according to the Washington Post, after the attack in Charleston, whereas Hillary Clinton was talking squarely to the American people about race. They were very much interested in propping up Hillary Clinton well before Donald Trump became something of a phenomenon, and induced the press to say, look, we have to put objectivity aside because this is a very real threat to the American Democratic Republic.
And you say that as somebody who's been very critical of Trump. You're a never-Trumper, right?
Well, I'm certainly not voting for a Democrat this cycle, and there are 2 Democrats on the ballot, as far as I'm concerned. And
so my point is he's not a fan, but still sees the media bias that, Trump has had to deal with at some turns. But, of course, in the primary season, he also benefited from media bias in a way, Howie, the bias for ratings. And we saw that in many instances. I mean, the number of times some of our competitors took Donald Trump campaign events and put them on TV start to finish, when we would never have done that for any. I mean, Scott Walker did not get that treatment. Hillary Clinton certainly didn't get that treatment. And only for Trump.
It's a mixed bag, but the problems go so much deeper. And by the way, it's not all journalists, but it is many, many people in this business inflicted far more scrutiny and far more negative coverage on Donald Trump than Hillary Clinton. And what the worst part is that some journalists and media critics justify this by saying, well, he's such a dangerous character, such a repulsive character, that we have to apply different standards. And that's the part that troubles me the most. And the people get it. USA Today poll by nearly 10 to 1, including 3/4 of Clinton supporters say the media want Hillary to win.
And then, you know, just capping off the election season, Noah, with the news about Donna Brazile cheating. I mean, she cheated in advance of 2 presidential debates by giving the questions to the Clinton team. And this is a beloved figure in Democratic circles, and by all accounts, a nice woman. But that's what happened. And, you know, it just leaves the average viewer and voter with an unpleasant taste in their mouth about the whole process.
Yeah, I mean, when you have somebody who's that closely associated with the Democratic Party, look, she's the acting chair of the DNC. I mean, what did we expect? We have a relationship.
Not cheating.
Well, I suppose it's certainly unethical. But we also had over at CNN Corey Lewandowski, who was on the payroll over at the Trump campaign, essentially. He's getting remittances. And at the same time, we expect nonpartisan commentary.
There's a tweet today with Corey Lewandowski, with Kellyanne Conway, and Hope Hicks of the Trump campaign. You know, it's like hashtag teamwork.
And we've had stories behind the scenes suggesting that he was at least on the phone with Donald Trump pretty frequently, giving him some advice. So we're not expecting nonpartisan commentary here. There's certainly dual loyalties at the very least. I think networks need to really reconsider their relationship with partisan commentary.
Howie, what does this mean for the future?
It means the media, rather than doing high fives, as I expect, if Trump loses on Tuesday, I'm not saying that he will, ought to really do some soul-searching about why there's now such a stain in our business. And here's the deepest part of it, because all the networks have partisan commentators. Here's the part that really bothers me. The degree to which most of the mainstream media miss the anger and the frustration of the millions of people who support Donald Trump, who are drawn to Donald Trump. They've been arrogant toward them. They've been condescending toward them. And that is not going to go away after Election Day.
You're absolutely right. Great to see you both. Thanks, guys.
Great to see you, Megyn.
Up next, what time could we know who's won on Tuesday? 4 days. In less than 100 hours. 100 hours, we'll have a pretty clear idea of who will be the 45th president of the United States. But what time will we actually know on Tuesday night? The host of
I'll tell you what.
Here on Fox News on Sundays at 5 p.m. is here to walk us through how election night will work. His better half, Dana Perino, will join us another night. Starwalt's back with us. All right, so how will it work?
Well, the people vote, and then we count them. No.
Yeah,
all right, do we get exit polls at 5 o'clock that tell us what the temperature is, right? We find out where the thermostat is, and then we start to get state results, and we match up the real vote with the expected vote from the exit poll, and then we reweight the exit poll so that we're able to, as those polls close, in some states where it's lopsided, when the poll closed, we'll send you a call right there.
We're going to be able to call this one easy.
Right, as soon as
New York State,
right,
no drama.
As the second hand sweeps up, you can go.
7 p.m. is the first poll closes.
Yeah.
So take us through it.
All right, so if you look up here at 7 o'clock, no surprises will be in Indiana or Kentucky, but you look up there to New Hampshire, you look at Virginia, you look at Georgia, we will start to have the makings of what kind of night this is going to be. For example, if we're sweating Georgia on Donald Trump, it's going to be a bad night for Donald Trump.
Yeah, go ahead.
But if Hillary Clinton's sweating Virginia, bad night for her.
Then 7:30, Ohio, North Carolina. Those are big.
Oh, Ohio and North Carolina are huge. Donald Trump needs probably both of those states in order to be competitive.
Will we know? Will it be like Ohio, we're calling it, or West Virginia? I mean,
West Virginia will call.
North Carolina, we're calling it.
No, we'll be waiting. And you know what you'll be saying?
This is 8, by the way.
You know what you'll be saying? Where's the call on North Carolina, Starwalt? And I'll say, it's not there yet. It's not
there.
Wait
for the counties.
It's going to be very exciting.
What time do you think we're going to be able to call this race on Tuesday night?
Probably 11 o'clock. Maybe earlier if it's a blowout one way or the other, but probably 11. It will probably need states in the 11 p.m. hour to get anybody to 270 electoral votes.
The drama.
100 hours.
It's really exciting. We're almost there. Hours instead of days. We've been waiting.
Ow.
Great to see you. And he's doing so many things on election night. I don't even have time to tell you them all, but let's hope nothing happens to him between now and then. We'll be right back. For many reasons.
Yes,
November 15th. This is the only copy. This is it that I've ever seen. But some shady characters have been trying to leak portions of the book, or so they claim. Without confirming or denying that content, let me just say this. Lots of people love Fox News. That's why we're #1. But some people do not. And sometimes in writing articles about Fox or Fox News personalities, the media can get a bit dishonest. Yes, right. Believe it or not, they can. Yeah, they can take things out of context. Sean, this has never happened to you, right?
They collude with the Clinton campaign.
they can collude. They can spin things in a dishonest way, just because they may not particularly love the Fox News channel or the people who work here. That's just a thought for you. You can just let that marinate, as my buddy Hemmer would say, as you enjoy the media reports about Settle for More before it comes out on November 15th, and you can pre-order it now at Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. Thank you very much, James. The good people at Barnes & Noble have been very nice, so we don't want to forget them.
You're co-hosting with Kelly Ripa.
And I'm co-hosting with Kelly Ripa. That's right, the morning after the election.
That's big.
So I'm going to be up all night with Bear, and then I got a date with Kelly. I think it's like I think we should call it like the Megyn Kelly show that morning.
Whoa.
No. Okay, I'll take the Kelly Ripa show. I'm in there too. Either way, it's going to be fun, and I'm going to be exhausted, and you can see what I really look like with all the bags under the eyes and so on. And on that lovely note, I'll leave it at that. Thank you for buying Settle for More right now. Thank you for watching The Kelly File. We'll see you tomorrow night at 9. And in the meantime, I have a special surprise for you in the studio. It's very special. His name is Sean Hannity. He's fired up. It's Friday night, and he's ready to roll.